Castles have been around for thousands of years, that is a fact. So why not build your own long-lasting castle in Minecraft? So look at these designs of these British castles. Look at them from above. These look spectacular. You can see the walls round and you see how it all works. Take these in. This is the structure of a castle. So now without further ado, let's go and do some building. How to build a Minecraft castle. Now by the end of this video you should be able to build your own magnificent castle, either with a bit of help from the designs in this video or just on your own. So here we go, we're going to start off with walls. Now you see in front of me we have two designs. So we have a slightly flat one with a window, that's just showing you how you can do a window. That's possibly for a thicker wall so you could have a nice big walkway in between here. So what you do usually with walls, you either have a sloped one up to the walkway on top, or you have a flat one which would probably at the bottom have a bit of this anyway, just to hold it up. With that one here you can stack it up. So now how do you make your walls better? Either texturing by mixing in a load of andesite and stone, or moss stone bricks and cracked stone bricks as well, or you do a gradient. Now with gradients you want to replace the stone bricks with this, so you'd have this as on a slope, or maybe just not, and it would work nicely. It would look like it's dirtier at the bottom, or there's less light at the bottom. Or you could try and combine the two and have a bit of this as well in it, putting a few bricks every so often like this, which is possibly, I don't know whether it looks nice, but it's okay. It's an interesting technique and you might want to try it out if you're curious. So anyway, that is walls. You basically just need to have a tall little thing that people can walk on. Now you'd want to copy this on the other side probably to make sure they don't fall off backwards. Now we're going to move on to towers. So I've made a little chart here which is showing you what shapes are good for towers. So you can see we've got in the green, we've got these massive ones going down to slightly less green, but they're still good, and then going down to red where you can't do it at all. So we'll start with red. Yeah, you can't build a tower out of this, you'd be stacking up and you can't even climb it. These, same thing. This, it's okay, you can have a ladder up it. These are good for maybe watchtowers. Now this, these ones, well, that's fine. I seriously think that's fine, but if you're wanting it in a castle wall, you really want something bigger, that's best for a watchtower. Now if you go up to this size, this is where I'm sort of thinking, yeah, this is starting to look a bit more like an interesting castle, but this is the one I like the best for size, because you've got plenty of space to have a nice staircase up it, and then, yeah, the same with this. So if you go up here, this one might even have enough space for you to put some living quarters in up the tower. So now, this is what those towers can look like. So I'll come back to that later, because this is what I want to talk about. Because with square towers, you want to build up by having, for example, if you had this that small, though you realistically wouldn't, you'd go up to that. You basically go down in the size of the squares as you go up. Usually it is best to just do one layer of this on square towers. It makes it look a lot nicer. So we'll go in from the bottom just to show you how it looks. So we've got dark oak for the floor. This is my favourite thing to use as the floor, because every other block is lighter than it. So then it means that all furniture looks really nice. Now you may be thinking, how did I do this staircase? Because I want to build staircases like that. What you have is you have that. You do this. It's simple. It's not too hard to do in survival because you don't have to fly for any bits. If you were doing it so there was just one block, which I don't recommend, there would be a load of fiddling around trying to get things in the right places. Just do this. It looks better. and it's also easier. So you just have this spinning round. You can also have some torches in the middle, and then you go all the way up to the top. And that's the top of your tower. Well, it's not going to be that short, obviously, but you get what I mean. You can repeat that going up and up and up. So, back to the tower. If we go all the way up, you see we've got torches all the way round. We can keep going up like this. We've got these windows. Now, these are not windows really. These are supposed to be arrow slits. Well, you can sort of use arrow slits as either a bit of fence like this, or you can actually make it a proper arrow slit. Now, what I mean by a proper arrow slit is, well, those things. That is what a proper arrow slit is. You can have these at the side, looking a bit to the right, to the left, and you basically shoot through them. That's the smallest space you can have, other than if you had a block on top of the bottom one. But that is how arrow slits usually looked like in medieval times. Now, so you can see we're at the top of the tower. We've got to go back to our original shape at the bottom. So we do the same thing, but way quicker. And then we also have a flag. If you want to learn how to make flags, I suggest watching a different tutorial because this isn't on that. But you need to make it wavy, look like it's in the wind, and that's basically it. Just have a rag of wool flying in the wind. Not too big, otherwise it will look terrible to the size of the tower. If I was going to make this a bit bigger, no, I could not make this any bigger because the tower was too small. So also make sure you do it with this. You make sure it fits with the scale of the tower. Now we're moving on to gatehouses. So what you've got with a gatehouse, this is what you want to have at the front of your castle, so no one can get in. Now it's open at the moment, but if it was in the middle of a siege, or if they knew an enemy was coming, they would shut this portcullis all the way down, so that would be right down there if you want to build a portcullis which is on the ground. Now, I found this clever technique, and it is by using some dispensers. You get these dispensers, and you do this. Then, when these do come down, it fits into the holes. It works quite nicely. You can also use smokers, I believe, to have a chunkier hole for the thing to go into, so you can actually see it when it's in it. Now, you can do that if you want. I don't personally do it because I never have my portcullises down in my castles because I actually want to go in. But yeah, it's another technique if you want to use it. So now, also remember with towers you do want to do some texturing from there as well. I haven't done it because I was short on time. So, anyway, it still looks pretty good anyway. You can use World Edit to do this if you are on a server and have World Edit. So anyway, gatehouses, they usually have two towers. Now these could be square ones. I've just done circular ones for this demonstration. Now, you want to have a bridge across. Now, you may be thinking, why a bridge? Because then you'd be able to get between the two towers. You wouldn't really be able to block anything. The reason is that's sort of how it looks, really. It's not really a bridge, it's just a battlement, so you can also pour some oil or some boiling hot oil down the side of the portcullis as well. Now, you'd then be able to put that down. So, I know it's not realistic, you wouldn't be able to fit that in, but pretend it's like curled up in there somehow. So yeah, you want to usually have a strip of wood. You'd rather have the whole thing, but no, I can't because I don't have it tall enough with that. So anyway, you'd have these ways into the tower. Now I haven't done any staircases here, but never mind. So what we have got the right thing for a staircase. So the staircase would go down with the arrow slits, because that's how it would work. So that is gatehouses done. Now we are going to move on to the hall. Now, halls are a very important part of castles. This is usually where there would be banquets, feasts, there would be the throne room, most likely. Now, what I've done with this hall, I've made it in the style of or it sort of gives me Viking vibes, but no, it's really not. It's the roof which gave me those vibes. But yeah, this might be good in a cold area for one this small. If it was in a massive spacious area like a plain, you might want a way bigger one. But this one would fit really well in the middle of a mountainous biome. So if you want to use this design, feel free, just you need to know where to use it. So now we've entered the castle. We have, well, I mean the hall. We have some tables to our left and right with seats behind them. Now you may be thinking, why don't they have armrests? They can't have armrests using signs because there's a 1 block gap between them. Why not at the end? I don't like to do it at the end if the ones in the middle don't have them, because that sort of goes against the whole style. So what we have here, we have 2 trapdoors like this, on like that. Now, always remember, use stairs even if it's not a stair. If you need to use a block shape like that, if you need to use a trapdoor but it's not going to be a trapdoor, use them. It doesn't matter what you're using it for. Use walls for, I don't know, building a whole house well, building the roof of a house. If it's what you need, use it. Don't go off the fact that its name is different or that it does this. Use it because it's the right shape. That's the only way you can do some of this furniture, unless you have it way bigger and blockier. So there we go. You can actually sit down in this with this trapdoor, so you can actually do that. If you want a functional chair, that's how you do it with a desk. But we're mostly looking at the throne back here, because look at this. It isn't well, it doesn't get your attention too much, and that's because it isn't fully made out of gold, which is what I think everyone used to build thrones out of if they built their own castles. No, this is mostly wood, and this is basically just realistic, because really, would you build a whole throne out of gold? Probably not, because it would be way too expensive. Diamond blocks, hardly a chance. So you want to make basically just a big chair. Look at this. So you want to use trapdoors as much, you want to use a few signs possibly. That's absolutely fine. You just need to have a bit of that wealthiness in the middle, possibly some raw gold, as that looks incredible. It's not as like Minecrafty as a block of gold. That's my thinking, because that is a bit boring. That looks way nicer because it's got a sort of pattern almost, but it's not a pattern though. It looks more interesting. So anyway, if you go behind this, you've got this ladder. Now this is what I'm meaning by a sort of watchtower. You can climb up it, you can get to the top, you can stand in here. There's enough space for maybe 4 people, but there's no staircase up to it, and don't try and do that. Also, when you're doing towers, always try to use a spiral staircase. If you're doing like typical housing, well, ones you find in a house, they're more like this. You know, don't try and do that all the way up a tower with sharp corners. People are not going to like to climb up that in Minecraft. Well, I mean, people don't like to climb up for those in Minecraft anyway. So yeah, that is the hall. That is basically how to do a hall. You want to look at the style of roof. You need to make a nice shape. Either have a sort of flat one or a slightly slopey one, or this style. This is actually a really common use. This has been used by many builders. I actually got the hang of it from a tutorial. That was years ago, but I've been using it ever since because it's such a clever design. You have 1 block, then stairs, block. It means it gives this really nice medieval / Viking vibe, and it really adds a lot to your build if you do something like that. I've also got a load of banners around. I suggest putting banners everywhere in your halls because that will show whose castle it is. Well, it's putting them in charge. So now we're on to adaptation. Now if you were here wanting to do a desert castle, for example, this is how you want to do it. these are walls. You need to make this possibly a bit taller, but this is the basic idea. You need to make it stand out. There are way more blocks for sandstone than there are for stone brick that you can mix in. Because look at what you get for sand. Look at what you get for stone brick. Well, some of those are black stone brick, which really I don't think you want for a castle unless you are doing an evil style, which I'll come into later. So you want to have a nice thick wall like this, so you can just walk across it. I like cut stone, this really helps stand out. So then we have the tops of towers. Now you may be thinking, well, what about a desert tower? It's basically the same, but you want to use square ones mostly, because, and you also want to make them nice and slopey, so they might want to be thinner at the top than at the bottom, because that's what fantasy artists like to do, and also fantasy builders, which is what I am. So there we go, that is how you want to have a dome. Domes are pretty simple, you just need to have circles and, well, you just need to go up in the circles, if you know what I mean. So what you've got is, you've got, start with, you might have something like this, that's a basic Minecraft circle. But then the next layer, you may want to go something like this. Now, I know that's not a circle, but what you can quite often do is you do two layers, or you do two adaptions, well, before you get to your next circle. So there we go, you've got to that, and then you'd probably go to this step. So that's another Minecraft circle. I know it's a square, but it's also a Minecraft circle. That's how you do spheres or domes. Now we're going to move on to evil style. Basically, all you want to do is change all the towers and all the walls to this. You want to use the same designs except from circular towers. You usually don't have circular in evil. You want to have the ones which stand out, the square ones, nice and spiky, and also nice and robust. So you'd have these blocks, you'd change them to blackstone. You could also use a bit of deep slate. It's a bit darker. You could use it in a bit of a mixture because it's the closest thing. Now we're going to go on to abandoned. You want to use these blocks way more than you'd use them in this design, so really pump up the amount you use cracked and mossy bricks. And then if you want to have some fallen bits of walls, add a bit of rubble like this. It's a really nice effect I've used in Rustok Castle in Cantomania, because there are a few walls which have fallen down in the past, so just put a little bit of rubble around it. It really adds to the idea of the castle and also its potential history and background. So there we go. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and I hope it really helps, because I put a lot of effort into this. So please tell me what you think, because yeah, if you really benefited out of this, I'd love to hear it in the comments down below. And if you want more videos like this, because I've got many plans, please hit the like and subscribe button, and happy building.